Hey friends, it's David again, and my wife Ro and I have just started looking for remote jobs to supplement our income as we travel around the United States in our travel trailer behind us. And because of this, we've started to talk about and really discuss the possible troubles that we're gonna run into working remotely as full-time RVers, and I thought I'd share that with you. One of the troubles that full-time RVers will run into while working remotely is poor Wi-Fi in RV parks. And this is something that we have definitely experienced. Some RV parks that we've been to have had really fast internet, and we could do everything that we wanted to do off of them. And as YouTubers, we need to transfer very large data files when we upload our videos to YouTube. These are, between 2 and 10 gigabyte files sometimes. And so, we need very fast Wi-Fi with a lot of bandwidth to be able to do that. So, and then we've also been to some RV parks that have had very slow Wi-Fi, and really all Ro and I could do while there is just surf the internet. The internet that we had there would take just so much time to even load a web page, but we were still able to surf the internet. And so if you are working a remote job where all you need to do is send and receive very small files, poor Wi-Fi you'll probably still be able to work with. And then we've even been to RV parks where there's just no signal. They say they have Wi-Fi, but at our site, we have nothing. And that may be because, the site that we had was too far away from where the Wi-Fi signal was being transmitted. And so it just couldn't reach all the way out to where our travel trailer was. But the closer we would get, we would start to pick up a signal. That has happened too. So you need to take all of these things into consideration if you're going to be staying in RV parks. Now, something that you can get that will help you in this is a Wi-Fi Ranger or, a Wi-Fi signal booster. And so if you are further away from where the Wi-Fi signal is being transmitted, that will boost the signal back up and give you a stronger signal inside of your RV. Again, this isn't going to help if you have no signal, but if you do have weak signal, it'll boost it back up to a strong signal. And something to take into consideration also is that if you're at an RV park and it does have very fast speeds, they still might not have very much bandwidth to handle large or high demand internet activities like video streaming. And so when that RV park is empty, then you might be able to do things with ease like stream video or have Zoom meetings if you are doing video conferencing for your remote job. But then once that RV park starts to fill up, the bandwidth gets hogged by everyone else that is, doing high demand activities like streaming video on Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, etc. And so it might then become impossible for you to do video streaming or video conference calls on Zoom or Skype or whatever for your job. And so, having unreliable Wi-Fi signal as you move from RV park to RV park is certainly a consideration that you'll need to make. You don't have to rely on RV park Wi-Fi though for internet access while you're traveling full time. Ro and I actually rely on the cellular network using hotspots. We can turn our cell phones into hotspots, and we also have a couple of standalone devices that connect to the cellular network and then broadcast a Wi-Fi signal that our laptop computers can connect to, and that's how we access the internet while traveling. So if you do plan on staying in RV parks, often or the entire time you're traveling, then you, as a backup, can have a hotspot device. If you have strong cellular signal in the RV park, but the RV park has poor Wi-Fi, then you can connect to the hotspot for internet. And then if you plan on boondocking or dry camping, which is what Ro and I do almost fully, we very rarely stay in RV parks, then you absolutely are going to want to have hotspots to be able to connect to the internet with. However, Wi-Fi signal can be, cell signal can be pretty hit or miss when you're boondocking, because typically when you're boondocking, you're out in the boondocks, and that means no or very weak cell signal. As Ro and I have traveled, though, we've gotten really good at being able to determine whether or not there will be cell signal, strong cellular signal at a site, using reviews on camping websites, or free camping websites, campground finding applications, and also using the coverage maps of Verizon, who is the provider that we have, but T-Mobile, AT&T, they all have coverage maps so that you can sort of zoom right on into where you want to be camping at and see if you have cell signal there. And it will typically tell you also if it's 3G, 4G, or 5G cell signal. It typically doesn't tell you the strength of the cellular signal there, but it will at least tell you if you have it. And if you plan on relying on the cellular network for internet access, then you're definitely going to want to get a cellular signal booster. We have one. I'll go ahead and drop a link in the description below so that you can see what we have. It is a Sure Call signal booster, and we like it. It definitely works. But again, you have to have some cellular signal. It can't boost nothing. But if you have weak signal, it can sometimes boost that up to then be strong cellular signal, which will definitely increase speeds for you. But something to take into consideration again is if you're in an area that has a very old cell tower, then your speeds, even though you have strong signal, might still be very slow. But if you are near a newer cell tower, and even if you have like 4G signal that is weak and then it is boosted up to strong signal with your signal booster, then you'll probably still have nice quick speeds. The cell speeds that we experience when we have strong signal is really quite good. 4G LTE is fully capable of doing everything that we've needed to do. We can upload, download large files at like 30 to 40 megabits per second, and then upload is typically around 10 megabits per second, which is pretty good. And speaking of campground finding apps, I'm gonna really quickly tell you about our favorite, and it's called the DYRT. The DYRT is the best campsite finding website and smartphone app we've ever used. However you camp, in a tent, trailer, RV, or cabin, the DYRT makes finding accommodations easy. And with over 1 million listings, you're sure to find the perfect campsite. The DYRT website and app are free to use. However, they have an extremely affordable Pro membership available for only $3 per month. Pro has many indispensable features for travelers like us, such as offline access and downloadable maps so you can search for campsites anywhere, map overlays for BLM land, national forests, and national parks so there's no questioning what land you're on, and a trip planner so you can see all the campgrounds and fuel stops along your route. A Pro membership will also get you up to 40% off at hundreds of campgrounds across the country and up to 30% off camping gear made by many major brands. And if you go through the link in the video description below and use promo code FATE, you'll receive a free 90-day membership to the DYRT Pro. Unlock better camping with exclusive features and savings with the DYRT Pro. Another consideration to keep in mind if you're going to be boondocking and relying on the cellular network for internet access is data limits. Data limits! It's such a pain for us, especially as YouTubers uploading videos, like I said, pretty large files up to YouTube. Data limits are such a pain for us because unfortunately the major carriers don't really offer affordable plans that have lots of data. Verizon currently only offers 22 gigabytes per month as a maximum to consumers. They offer larger plans for businesses, so unless you're self-employed, then you're pretty much stuck with 22 gigabytes a month as the largest data plan you can get. We have 15 gigabytes on my phone, Ro's phone, and one standalone hotspot for 45 gigabytes total. And each of those hotspots are only $20 a month, thankfully. But that's an old plan. I don't think Verizon offers that anymore. We're grandfathered in because we've continued to have this plan for I think it's been 7 years now. And then we also have, for our business, we also have a wireless router that is 200 gigabytes of data that Ro uses to stream. She streams on Twitch, and so we need just an insane amount of data for that because she's constantly uploading video, her stream, and that consumes about 2 gigabytes per hour, between 1 and 2 gigabytes per hour. So if for whatever remote work you plan on doing, if you're going to be doing a lot of video conference calls, that's going to use a lot of data. Nowhere near 1 to 2 gigabytes per hour like what Ro uses, because since she's streaming, we're uploading very high quality video. If you're just doing a Zoom conference, then you can get by with pretty low bit rates to save data, but still, if you're doing it often, then data limits are going to be a real problem for you. And you can get around that though by having just multiple devices. Like I said, we've got 2 phones, a standalone hotspot, and the wireless router. So you can just keep adding devices as you need more and more data, but it's a pain. The costs can add up. Maybe you can talk to your employer though and see if they will provide you with a hotspot that has data on it, so then they're paying for it and not you. Ro did have that when we first hit the road. She did have a remote job, and they actually did provide her with a hotspot with 100 gigabytes of data on it. And so we didn't have to worry about that for her job at first, but moving forward, we probably will. If you're gonna be staying in RV parks with full hookups, or at least electrical hookups, then you won't really have to worry about this next consideration. But if you plan on boondocking like we do, then you absolutely will have to, and that is power. To provide ourselves with enough power for our laptops and our inverter, we have solar on the roof of our travel trailer, but in areas like where we currently are staying, where there is pretty dense tree cover, our solar doesn't do us any good, and we don't have electrical hookups here, so we are just pretty much draining our batteries down until they get to about 20%, and then we have an inverter generator that we can fire up that will then recharge our batteries, and then that will last us about 2 days, and then 2 days of solid work. Like if we're on our laptops, I'm editing video, Ro's streaming, or we're using our laptops for whatever business purpose, then we can get about 2 days of charge out of the 400 amp hour battery capacity that we have before we need to fire the generator up and charge back to full. We typically try to avoid areas with dense tree cover like this because we really don't like running our generator. We don't like dealing with the noise and the exhaust fumes and all that stuff. Also the added cost, buying fuel does cost something. It's not free. And so if we can be somewhere open to the sky so that our solar can keep us charged, that is ideal for us. But if you don't mind running a generator, then I guess you don't have to invest in solar because it is pretty expensive up front. And if you're curious, I'll go ahead and drop a link in the description to a playlist of all of our solar videos so you can check out how, everything we have, how much it costs. There's a full install series too. But yeah, we really love solar because it's quiet. Well, it's noiseless. There's no sound except for the very, very light hum of our inverter. And yeah, it's maintenance free and all that. Whereas running a generator, there is maintenance to that. There's sound. There's you have to deal with gasoline or propane or whatever. And so we try to run our generator as little as possible. So yeah, power consumption while RVing and working remotely is something you're definitely gonna have to figure out how you want to power all of your devices long term. Our travel trailer is not big, and so something that Ro and we've constantly been dealing with the entire time we've been on the road is having enough workspace for both of us. This back area right here is our living space, and it's pretty much dominated by what we have turned into a desk area, which is our workspace. And Ro and I each have laptops that we work on, and something that we are going to have to struggle with is the type of work that we are both searching for we're searching for different jobs, different types of employment, but we will both likely need dual monitors, and we don't have very much desk space. And so us both having enough space for our keyboards, our computers, another monitor, and then, all of the other extra room we may need for performing our jobs is gonna be a little tricky having enough room for all of that. And so if you also don't have a very big or very much space inside of your RV, then finding enough workspace for not only yourself, but if your spouse is going to be working remotely as well, that can be tricky. And then, something that is kind of frustrating that we've been dealing with the entire time we've been on the road is that our computers and our workspace dominates that whole back living space. And so we don't really have any area that is just for living, just for enjoying or, doing recreational activities inside of our travel trailer, like crafting or any type of hobbies things. We always have to move our computers out of the way to make room on the tables to be able to do anything like eat dinner even, have room for our plates. So yeah, that is absolutely something to take into consideration. And then the last thing you may have trouble with as a full-time RVer traveling is how the heck are you supposed to be productive and get work done when you've got, you're just surrounded by all of nature's beauty, and while you're sitting at your desk, you are looking out the window like we have with our rear picture window here, and you have to stare at all of that awesomeness all day while you're working, and somehow you have to stay productive and stay on task when all you want to do is just go outside and adventure and explore. Now, I am mostly joking with this one, but it is kind of true. You're going to be sitting at work all day and you just want to get out, but I would much rather, I would always choose working in these awesome areas so that, you at least have an awesome view from your office as opposed to being back, in an office with like no windows probably and just staring at your cubicle walls. So I am joking with this last one, don't worry. But those are all of the things that you may have trouble with while working remotely as a full-time RVer and full-time traveler. If there are any other troubles that I haven't thought of and shared in this video, then please share them with everyone else in the comments below, and also share your thoughts on the troubles that I brought up. Have you experienced them as a full-time RVer, or how do you plan on tackling those issues when you finally hit the road? But that's all for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.